Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very excited because I'm actually back at my base camp and getting ready to go on the road again. But along the way there's a lot of things that I need to do, and so I'm going to take you on a little bit of that journey in the coming videos. But today I wanted to do something extra special, a little walk down memory lane over the past 7 years of travel. My channel is 7 years old at this point, and in that time I have gone literally hundreds of thousands of miles and done some amazing things, and you guys have been right there with me. But the first thing I need to do is get in the van and grab something out, and then we're gonna go inside and kind of collect our thoughts a little bit. So let's see, unlock, and the van is a mess right now. But all of this is going to be changing as I do some work in here very soon. But for the time being, what I need is right here. You see, for the past, let's see, 1, 2, 3 years now, I've been traveling in this tiny little van, and along the way I've been collecting little tiny souvenirs, patches, and putting them on my roof in the front. However, last summer I had to take them down because they just got so hot, so I stored them someplace, and now it's time to reinvigorate those memories and go down that memory lane. So I need to grab these also to put them where I'm gonna put them because they're not going back in the van. Okay, this should do. Now it's time to close everything back up. Don't worry, I'll be back to work on you soon. But now it's time for us to go inside and talk just a little bit. It's hard to believe that 7 years have passed the way that they have. And I've made a lot of memories, but I think we should talk about why I started this journey first. So we'll start there. Let's hop into the Wayback Machine and take it all the way back to 2015 through 2017. This was one of the most trying times in my entire life, where I was doing so many things, but at the same time really not taking care of myself very well. And at that point, I was probably at the worst health, despite being probably what most people would think was the best shape of my life. My back was really messed up with my sciatica. My mental health was just frazzled because of all of the stuff that was going on around me, and I didn't really know how to fix any of those things. And a job came along that was an opportunity to kind of shake things up just a little bit. And in doing so, I had to make a huge life choice at that point. Do I take the job knowing that everything that is consistent in my life will then change? Or do I just keep the consistency and keep existing in the place that I am currently, which is not the best for me? I took the job. I took the job, and I knew it was not going to be a full-time, all-the-time kind of thing, but by taking the job, I took a risk on myself. I took a chance, and I put all my eggs in one basket that this was going to be something that would help me to change, to see myself differently, to break the mold of what I'd been doing, and to figure out the course that I needed to take next. And in doing so, it changed everything. Now, I've said many times on the channel that sometimes life hands you lemons and you have to make lemonade, or you have to pivot. But until you're in that situation, you don't know how you will act. I thought about this long and hard before I took this particular job, and I figured that even though I had a nice job with nice people at that time, if I never took a risk on myself, I was never going to advance higher than I was in that position, and at the same time, my situation was not going to change unless I physically made a change. And so I took that risk and put all of the emphasis points on me having an amazing time on the road, but also taking away something positive from it and growing. And over the next few months, every 2 weeks, we were in a different city doing our job, and when the assignment ended, I was a changed person. It's hard to explain exactly, but long story short, I went in with no expectations really, and I came back with a great understanding of the world around us in a uniquely different way. See, I found out that the world around me, that I had been just existing in a tiny little bubble, was just that, a tiny little bubble, and that there was so much more out there, and that I'd spent my entire life not experiencing the so much more, and only allowing myself this tiny space to be. And so by thinking outside of that and thinking bigger, I knew I wanted to do something different in my life. I just didn't know what. the world. It has a way of both sizing you up and weighing you down at the same time. And sometimes blazing an independent path is super, super hard and quite terrifying, to be honest. But I thought, oh, I've traveled all these places, but there's so many places I haven't seen yet, and I would love to see a few more of those. And I started to kind of think about what are the things out there that I haven't seen, and I settled on the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon was a place that I was like, why have I never seen this? It's literally one of the wonders of the world right here in the United States. People from all countries come here to see it, and it's in my backyard just a short distance away. And yes, I realize 14 hours is not really a short distance, but in comparison to across the pond, super close. So at that point, I realized there was only me holding me back from seeing this. So why not just go? 2 weeks. That was all it took. I planned a trip for 2 weeks with my longest standing friend of all time that we'd never traveled together because both of us just let life get in the way of doing things for us. We both were putting into the cup of others, but not really filling up our own cup. And so we decided that we were going to take a risk and go somewhere for 2 weeks. So I started planning this in I want to say December, and I had an expectation time of April for this trip. In the meantime, I knew I wanted to do a few other things. So I took some time and I really started to put my mindset around what it would be like to be on the road as a solo female or as two females driving across the country and what all that entailed and how different that would look than my life was at that moment. This is where the world started to just check the boxes and make it make sense, which is weird. I decided that in order for us to do this the most effectively, we would travel in my tiny car at the time and we would tent camp. I had tent camped when I was a kid, but I hadn't tent camped since, and I hadn't ever tent camped by myself as a woman. And I don't believe that Pam had either. So it became a thing where we were just boldly going off into the distance and trying to figure out what was next. It's really hard to believe that that was 7 years ago, that all that process started. It's pretty wild to think that 7 years ago in December, I took a chance on me. And at the time, I was terrified because I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know if that was going to be a one-time road trip and then, oh, back to life because we got that out of our system, or if that was going to be something that would turn into what this is now. Me traveling so many miles, so many places, meeting so many incredible people, and doing things that I never in my wildest dreams imagined. Now, I certainly don't want to give off the false impression that this has been roses and sunshine every single day. I've tried to be very honest and real and transparent here on my channel, but at the same time, there are ups and downs with any decision that you make, and also the adapting to those decisions. And I must say, it was one of the hardest transitions to figure out in my entire existence, and I've been through some things. So figuring out how to make money and also be able to travel was one of the first things I had to figure out. And then figuring out how I would feel comfortable when I wasn't with another person was another thing. And so over the first 3 years of travel, I extensively traveled the United States in a tent and a small car. And it was quite the growing experience. I took that time for myself to get to know me and be okay with me and not be hung up on what everyone thinks that you should be. And in doing so, I became my own best friend. And I know that sounds really silly to a lot of people, but when you're on your own and there's no one else to talk to, you have to talk to yourself to some extent to be okay with who you are driving up and down the road. That gives you lots of times to think about the issues you have, the things that you thought were so big that are actually small because you're now doing this, and this is much more important to be focused on. It also allows you to fight those demons that you might have had because all you have is your thoughts and time. So it gives you the time and also the grace to kind of treat yourself a little bit more kindly in those situations, but also to fully feel them out. And so I did that for 3 solid years before traveling with anyone new. Now, along the way, I did travel with a couple friends. Both Anika and Kenny were on my channel at one point. Those are some really great friends that I still have to this day. They just can't travel quite the way I do. And our adventures were so fun. And I really am appreciative to those people for being a part of that journey also early on. And then also for just putting up with me even now. Now, of course, this is a pretty quick look at those first 3 years, I know. But the thing is, after I went through those 3 years, I was ready. I was ready to do some things. And I had lots of experience under my belt with over 100,000 miles already on the car. And so I wanted to do something a little bit different. And with the support of my family, who has been here for the entirety of my journey, just being really supportive, even though I'm probably sure that they thought I was crazy at first whenever I said I wanted to do this, I have been able to accomplish so many amazing things and always felt supported in doing so. And so I'm always so appreciative of that. But after I'd been tent camping for a long time, it was time to make a change, and that's whenever I ended up with the van. I have a 2020 NV200 and I purchased it brand new because it does have a warranty, and that was a big deal for me, having something that would provide safety with the 4 walls, but also having something that would have reliability through that warranty. Oh boy, did that have a whole lot of different challenges. Where to park, where to camp, how to organize, all of those things were things that then came into perspective as a result of the van. And at the same time, my life also took a turn when it comes to how I traveled with people. I ended up meeting some amazing people that are still very close to me today at my very first event. I went to Gutted, and the rest is history. Now, I seriously doubt the people who organized Gutted, the reality show, ever realized what kind of communication and relationships that they were creating within people, within the community, by putting together this event. They were there to film a reality show, but in reality, what was happening was the true reality of a community coming together for something exciting. And in doing so, I was able to meet many of the people who I still call friends today. By connecting with each of them, I had never met another person who did YouTube before, and I had only met a handful of people who kind of did what I did anyway, that were willing to chat, because a lot of people are very hesitant to chat, which I understand. Safety, it makes sense. However, it was like it unveiled a new world to me, and that world kind of looked like me for the very first time in 3 years. There is definitely something to be said whenever you're going along in life, having your own little solo journey of growth and acceptance and feeling better about things that might not have served you in the past, and then suddenly, boom, aligning with people who just make sense, who get it, who can talk to you about the weird stuff that nobody else understands. And that's why my group of friends has been such a solid group throughout the years, and why I'm so appreciative to them as well. Because not only did they give me that, wow, I belong because you get it kind of feeling, but also getting to know them beyond the surface of we do the same thing or we travel in tiny vans. They're amazing and incredible people who are so motivational and just inspire you to do so many things. So now that brings me to here. I am about to take all of the memories that I've made since that time and put them on this patch board. This is going to be staying in my tiny home, and I've decided that since I had to take all of my patches out of my van last year and bring them inside because of the heat, that I wanted to make sure that I have a reminder of all of those amazing memories. So inside here, I have a bunch of those. There's so many memories in here. Oh my goodness. Every time I see these, it just brings me joy, because I think about that person who was living in Dallas who was stressed, who didn't feel very good, who all the time was worried about things that now aren't even a part of my life, and how big I thought those problems were, instead of realizing how amazing that the rest of the world was. I just hadn't discovered it. So now we're going to go through some of these, and as we do, oh my goodness. Let's start off and just pull out a few, and as I do, I'll place them here and we can talk about them. I have these three right here, which is Cape Disappointment. That was a great adventure with Riley. And then I have this one, which is my Mountain House Ambassador patch. See, my friendships started to blossom even more whenever I started to be more receptive to hanging out with people again and doing more things with friends. And that brought me to Mountain House. I had been using Mountain House products for a very long time, in fact, since the beginning of my tent camping journey. But they opened up an ambassador program, and because of the fact that I had so many amazing people in my life, I took a shot and I applied. And I was very pleased to find out that I had been accepted. And over the past 2 years, I've been able to be a part of the Mountain House team, and it's just been one of the most exceptional journeys, just because, again, the people that I've met are so inspiring. The things that they do, it's just, oh my gosh. Because of Mountain House, I have ziplined, I have gone mountain biking and gotten on a bike for the first time in years. I have had a restored vigor to my travels and also been inspired to want to do more. I went rafting for the first time, and all of this after I faced so many different trials and struggles. And every time I'm around the people from Mountain House, all the other ambassadors, you can't leave there without just feeling like you are 10 feet tall, like you have so much energy. So I'm so happy to put this one right here. And then I'm going to surround it with the Memphis Zoo, which was really, really cool. And then Cape Disappointment, which was that awesome adventure with Riley. The Thing, I love strange attractions. The Grand Canyon, the place that changed everything for me. I always tell people that when Pam and I were there, that was, again, one of the lowest points in my life when it comes to my health journey. My sciatica was so bad that we would walk and I'd have to sit down. And if there was no bench, I'd have to sit on the physical ground just to make it stop hurting. And we hiked the entire South Rim with me doing that. It took us forever, it seemed. But by the time that we got to the final part of the rim, it was sunset. And that was the best sunset I've ever witnessed in life, because it was something that wasn't just, ooh, it was a beautiful sunset. It was me realizing at that point that I could do this. And I needed to have more confidence in myself being able to do it. But also, the conversations that I had with my friend at the Grand Canyon inspired me to want to do more with this channel. Because see, while we were there, I found out that Pam had never even seen the ocean before. And so I wanted to make that possible for her. And by the time that we went from the Grand Canyon to California, we were able to do that, and just to see the joy on her face made me realize that sometimes it's not just about my journey, but it's about other people's journeys. And so sharing as much as I can on my channel here helps people to travel even when they cannot travel. And so I made it a point from the very beginning to make sure that I show people where things are so they could go, but also that I try to include them if they're not able to go. And so this one should go right here in the middle too. Oh, these are sticky. Of course, we spent an entire summer on the 101 outside of Oregon and Washington, and it was awesome. I loved the fun. I may stagger these. I might not have them all leaning the same direction. LA was the first place that I ever went, not only on my journey with that other job where it all started, which is why this was so important, but also we went back there and I went to Disney for the very first time in my life, and that was pretty epic. I went to the Biosphere 2. The Biosphere 2 is a place that I had seen in a movie whenever I was younger, and I didn't know it actually existed, and the minute I found out it did, I was so excited and had to go. Oatman, I've been there a few times and fed the donkeys. It's absolutely one of the neatest places to go. And then this is the Lewis and Clark Discovery Center, also in the Pacific Northwest. Now, along the way, I've gone to a lot of Lewis and Clark places and seen a lot of the different history, that's come from there. And I like to enjoy the history kind of as I've traveled to different states. That and the Oregon Trail are two amazing long distance trips that you can take that have a lot of really cool historic stops. Let's see, Forks, of course, that is also in Washington, and that is where we camped just outside of Forks in one of my favorite campsites of all time. And then like right here, I have two different ones. These are from Meow Wolf. I've been to 3 of the 4. There's actually one here in Texas that I need to go to, but I love Meow Wolf. It's one of the most creative places that people can go to see just really interesting art, but also expression. And so that was one of my favorite places that I've ever gone. And actually I went to the first Meow Wolf when I was with Pam on that very first trip. So it just goes to show, you never know what's gonna happen in the future. Now, as I continue kind of going through these, there's some of them that are from places that I've eaten, some of them that are places that I've hiked, some of them that are places that I have just really enjoyed a museum. I try to pick up one of these patches at every location that I go to that might have them. And then I enjoy just being able to reflect on that memory. And these are memories that don't take up a ton of room in my van, which I think is great because, again, I have 35 square feet. This one was super awesome. Superman. Oh my gosh. Metropolis, Illinois has the largest Superman, and they do a Superman festival. And when I found that out, I was like, I must go here. My friend Dawn loves Superman, so when I was there, I texted her and I was like, I'm here, and I sent her a picture. It was super fun. I also have some others that are kind of interesting in here that are just, you know, random. But then I have places like Dodge City, tons and tons of history there. I have the Goonies. I loved the Goonies movie, but I got to see many of the film locations just because I decided to take a chance on myself at one point and go on the road. And that was something I found. I've learned about musical instruments. I have learned about natural wonders such as Arches National Park. And also I have been able to go to see things that most people only can like dream about seeing. So I think that that's pretty cool too. Not even halfway finished yet. And so many memories. Every time I see these, it just brings me the joy. And whenever I had these in my van, every time that I would look up at my ceiling, I would see these, and it would just remind me of the amazing adventures, but also this journey that I'm sharing with you guys. And on one hand, there's these bright, bold, beautiful colors, but on the other hand, each one of these is attached to memories and miles and places and things and people. And the more that I see them, the more that I go down that path of remembering. And I am very fortunate because I do have a YouTube channel, and because of that, I can go back and see these amazing places. It's a catalog of my life. And I think that whenever I started my YouTube channel, I so much wanted to do it so that other people could be inspired. But at the same time, there's this really amazing quality to just documenting your life and then being able to go back and think of it from the perspective you had when you began. And for me, that perspective is that there were times when I didn't feel great, but I had to put on a good face. There were times when I didn't feel good because I was physically in pain because of my back, and I still had to press on. And I didn't think that I could do many of the things that I now do now on a daily basis. I think that I was limiting myself by thinking in such a one-note way because that was my existence in my life. And I think now when people come to watch my channel, they think, oh, you're so upbeat, you have so much joy, you share so much, and this just must be you all the time. And yeah, it is me now. But there were days whenever I would wake up and be very not okay with having to go to work. Not just because I was dreading it or anything like, oh no, it's Monday, but just like I felt stuck. And I didn't know that there was more out there that I could do or that I would be able to do. And I felt very limited in my belief of self because I had allowed life to get to me. And I think that that's the thing that is the bigger picture for me, at least, with where I am in these 7 years versus where I was. 7 years is a lot of time. And if you look at the bigger picture of your life, it's a huge chunk. But I would like to think that in this 7 years, I've learned more, I've grown more, I've become a better person, and as a whole, I have experienced so many things, and none of these would have been possible if I wouldn't have taken a chance on myself. Now, I understand not everyone can get out there and travel full time. I understand that. And at no point do I think that everyone should quit life and move into a van or tent camp or anything like that. But what I am saying is we have to take a chance on ourselves no matter what we're doing. And I wish I would have known that at the time of how to do that. Sometimes taking a drastic step like doing what I've done is the only way to break free because your mind's so stuck. But other times you can improve your quality of life simply by taking a nature walk or a mental health walk, taking a trip to a museum that you haven't been to, going to a street festival, going to a farmer's market, going to a zoo, taking yourself to a theme park. Or if you're not interested in those kinds of things, just go out in the country and look for historic road signs. They have great resources in every state to help you find them, and you can learn a lot. And I think through the knowledge that I've gained over these years, it's not just about the adventures and the places and the things, it's about what I've taken away from that. See, you can go to a lot of places and not be receptive to what they actually have to offer you. You see it as just a destination resort or a vacation home or a walk on a beach or even a trip to a really cool place. But if you don't allow it to like resonate within you and make you a better person, it's just a place on a map. And there's tons of those. But the nice thing about me is I've taken this time to get to know who I am, to know what I want to take away from these things. And that has really allowed these things to impact me in a different way. Instead of just saying, oh, this is an aquarium and there's hundreds of aquariums, I can now say, this aquarium is different because it talks about this. Or this particular state park is different because I hiked, yes, but I also was there with my mountain house friends and I got to see them climbing rocks and inspiring others through their actions beyond just that climb. And I think that that's the bigger picture of what 7 years has taught me. There's a lot of things that are going to be coming up on my channel in the next few months of us traveling and a lot of preparation for that travel. And I think that that is going to be something that really takes us into a new travel year and a new year on the overall bigger picture with some really amazing things. And before that, I'm going to be sharing some more things that you guys have asked about and some things that I need to test out and stuff like that. Just normal stuff here on my channel. But I think that this is the bigger picture. Not the patches, not the patch wall, not the cool places that have been, but the bigger picture of where I started versus where I am now and where I plan on being. A long time ago, somewhere early on in my journey, someone asked me, and I believe it was my friend Kenny, he's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? At that time, my answer was simple. I see myself happy. And I think I've accomplished that. I'm pretty happy. I wake up more days than not in a good mood. I just sometimes need a little coffee. But overall, my health is better even when I'm having a little bit of a struggle here or there. It's nothing like it was. I feel more alive. I feel more receptive to all the things that these kinds of places have to offer, but also the people that I meet. And I feel pretty blessed because I have some amazing people in my life who speak into me just as much as I speak into them. I have people who motivate and inspire me. I've gotten to work with amazing brands and companies, and along the way, I've made a lot of new friends and seen a lot of new faces. And because of that, my life is a lot different than it was when I started out this journey. My challenge to you all is to take a risk on yourself, do something different, and put into your cup more than you put out. Make sure that you have people in your corner who are also speaking life into you, and don't allow people to push you around or tell you that you can't. You need to keep that in mind, that you also have to reinforce that you can. And again, I'm not telling you move into a van and hit the road, but I'm telling you find quality life experiences, and you never know. 7 years down the line, you might be saying something pretty awesome to yourself. I'm going to challenge you to ask you, and I want you to comment in the comments below. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you see yourself happy? Remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. Thanks for coming on this little walk down memory lane with me. I hope that each and every one of you is having an incredible and amazing start to your new year, and I'll see you later. Bye!